What's up, everybody? This is Chris at A Reader's Journey, and today I'm going to be doing mostly a mid-month reading update or check-in for October. But before I get to that, I did want to talk a little bit about the new name for the channel and A Reader's Journey, and why I renamed the channel, kind of my thought behind it, and what I kind of want to do with the channel moving forward. So now that I've started making videos again, I only have, this will be my fourth video this year. I've sort of been unsatisfied with, my previous channel name was Chris Reads Books, which felt a little generic, and I wanted to kind of reach beyond that and find something that captured sort of the essence or the vibe of why I like to read, or why I want to talk about books with other people. So to me, A Reader's Journey kind of signifies or indicates the reason why I love reading, and that is, I think everybody has their own personal journey through storytelling or through reading books, and as you find different authors and different books and you connect with different stories, I think you develop as a person. I think you develop your preferences and tastes as a reader, and it's sort of about the stories that you absorb or acquire or connect to, like, over a lifetime, because reading is this lifelong journey that each person goes on, and they find their own personal connections to books and stories and characters and authors. That's sort of what's behind the name, and here on YouTube I want to obviously document my own reader's journey, but another big part of it is I want to connect with other people. I'm always fascinated by what books and what stories other people connect to, and how they develop their own taste as a reader. I hate the word taste, by the way, and I also hate the word branding or rebranding, but that's sort of what I'm doing here. But yeah, so I want to connect with more people and find out what their reader's journey has been, how they connect to stories and storytelling. So I do want to kind of explore talking with other people in either live chats or interviews with readers, eventually maybe writers if I'm lucky enough to find an audience, or connect with writers. But yeah, that's sort of the reasoning behind that, and I thought it just sort of captured the vibe of what I want to do here. So with that being said, I just wanted to talk about what I've been reading in October. I know we're getting towards the end of October so far. It's been kind of a crazy month, which I'll get into. But the first book that I started right at the end of September, but then I finished in the first week or so of October, is City of Miracles by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this is book 3 in the Divine Cities trilogy. My last video I talked about this trilogy and how I think it's one of the most underhyped or underappreciated series in the fantasy genre. So if you are curious about that, you can go check out that video. But this book, I've been reading this series over a pretty decent amount of years, and for some reason, I read book 1 and then I waited 2 years or so before I read book 2. Book 1 is City of Stairs and book 2 is City of Blades. They're amazing. It's unlike anything I've read in the genre. Just brief description here if you haven't seen my last video. They're like spy, thriller, espionage type of books in the fantasy genre. And yeah, book 3, City of Miracles, was an incredible ending to a series. Definitely solidified the Divine Cities trilogy as one of my favorite series, and Robert Jackson Bennett as one of my favorite fantasy authors. I think he definitely stuck the landing and got the conclusion to the stories of some of my favorite characters from books 1 and 2. And I mean, it has some of the best action scenes I've ever read. It has I mean, yeah, some of the best characters and really deep and powerful themes, really explored in a really intelligent way by the author. So I do want to read more by Robert Jackson Bennett. I haven't read Tainted Cup or all of the Founders trilogy, but I want to pick those up soon. But yeah, City of Miracles was the first book that I finished. And then the next one I picked up was it was because of Talking Story, the YouTube channel, one of my favorite YouTube channels out there right now. John, Jacob, John's wife Amy, and some people in their Discord and their community decided to read Frankenstein as one of their monthly reads for October. And did I show it already? Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And this is a book that I read, I think when I was 20. It was right as I was attempting to go to college for the first time. I dropped out. I'm going again. But I read it right before my first semester of college, way back when. And I really loved it. I was so surprised at how different it was from the movies and sort of the film legacy of the monster. It's so different. I mean, a lot of people on BookTube probably have read this. I understand those differences, but it's really nothing like the movie. The creature, I mean, the setting is in Geneva, Switzerland, and then across Europe into Paris and London and Scotland. The creature is like this Paradise Lost sort of creation of Victor Frankenstein that acquires intelligence, and it's got these really just deep philosophical themes. He doesn't start out as a mad scientist. He sort of just descends into madness or devolves psychologically as the monster after he abandons the creature, the monster, which was completely his fault. The creature stumbles through life not knowing what he is or why he's different, trying to find connection and love with other human beings, but he's treated like a monster and chased out of every town or every village that he tries to visit. But anyway, reading this again now, this was amazing. It was a perfect read for October. It kind of fits into the spooky season or horror read that I wanted to get into for the month. And I'm just continually impressed by how deep and meaningful this book is each time I read it. So yeah, I don't know how Mary Shelley, when she was, I think, 18 or right around there, first wrote this book. I don't know how somebody that young could write this with such powerful themes, and it's so original as far as I understand. It was one of the first science fiction novels. I read it as a horror novel, but what's the real difference there? But yeah, sort of man's search for meaning in the universe and connection and reaching out to the creator. And I think John from Talking Story said stumbling with grace or stumbling without grace. Either way, it's just a really awesome existential science fiction horror, psychological horror, gothic book. But yeah, I finished that. And then for school, for my literature class right now, we finished Jane Eyre last month and read some adaptations. And then the next book that we're reading is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. This is one that I also had read some of when I was younger, I think in 6th grade. I tried to read this, didn't really connect to it at the time. I didn't understand it, disliked it, honestly. But since then I've read, I think, 1 or 2 Dickens books, and I liked them more in my 20s, as I got older and I could appreciate it. But returning to this, I'm really surprised at how much I'm enjoying this. Just the humor in Dickens's writing is surprising. I'm really connecting to, I hate the name Pip of the main character, but just his experiences being mistreated as a child, but somehow it's funny. Just it's so satirical, and all the characters around him are these caricatures, and the names, you know, Dickens has great names, Mr. Wopsle and Miss Havisham. So it's just, and I've read, what it reminds me of now is I've only read one Terry Pratchett book, which was Mort, but I'm just was reminded of the humor in the author's voice. So I want to read more Dickens after this, and I want to read more Pratchett, just because when an author can write with humor and it's effective, like in characterization and satire, it can be really effective, and it makes me connect to the main character even more because everybody around him is so ridiculous. So I'm not super far into that yet. I think I'm on chapter 15 or 16, so not super far in, but I'm really enjoying that more than I thought I would. And then the most recent book I picked up on my own, and this was very highly anticipated, book 1, Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro. I think it came out in 2022. It's my favorite book of the last few years. I talk about it in every chance I get on here, or if I'm recommending a book to people I know in real life, my personal life. I'll recommend Ordinary Monsters. If you haven't heard of it, it's like an X-Men or a Stranger Things, but set in the Victorian era. So kids are being born with supernatural abilities. Let me show the book. Book 2 is Bringer of Dust, which this is an amazing. I don't all the time buy hardcover new releases, but this one I had to. It just came out last month, and it's like this awesome purple cover, and it's, I don't know, I'm obsessed with these books. This is book 2 in a trilogy called the Talents trilogy. But I want to make a video about this series because it is my favorite series right now, and I think more people should be reading it. So I do want to make that video soon, probably as soon as I finish this book. But this is picking up, I think, a few months after the events of Ordinary Monsters, and we're sort of, again, go read Ordinary Monsters, please. It's amazing. The writing is incredible. It's historically grounded, well-researched, incredibly well-written, deep and powerful themes. You know, it's got like the outsider kids who are different, like in X-Men or Stranger Things, and just incredible. I love everything about it, and it's got amazing antagonists, point of view characters, action scenes, supernatural, horror, it's like disgusting, creepy creatures. It has everything. And I really wish, my ultimate hope for this series is that somehow Guillermo del Toro would pick this up for an adaptation and make a movie out of it, or even I think it would be an amazing show on HBO or one of those streaming platforms. But yeah, Bringer of Dust is what I'm reading right now, and I only started a few months ago, so I'm not super far in, but I love it. It's amazing. Please go read this series. If you've gotten this far, thank you for watching. Thanks for following along on my reader's journey. I'll probably check in again at the end of the month and talk about, I don't know what else I'm gonna start or finish by the end of October. I do have a few ideas for videos I want to make before the end of the month. But yeah, let me know what you guys have been reading, any favorite books, any horror reads or spooky season reads, if you've read any of these books that I'm talking about. Let me know what's going on in your reader's journey. But yeah, that's it for me, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.